Ji-hoon stood in the grand chamber and felt small. The room was massive, built for beings much larger than humans. Above him, floating platforms held delegates from 847 different alien species. Some had scales, some had fur, and some were made of things he could not name. They all looked down at him. He had been waiting for this day for 5 years. Humanity had been waiting for 50. 50 years ago, the Galactic Council found Earth. They came in huge ships that blocked out the sun. Humans were scared at first, but the aliens said they came in peace. They offered humanity a place in the galaxy, a chance to join the great family of intelligent species. All humanity had to do was follow the rules. The rules seemed fair at first. Do not build weapons that are too powerful. Do not explore too far without permission. Share your discoveries with the Council. Let Council peacekeepers watch over human space to keep everyone safe. In return, humanity would learn from species that had traveled the stars for thousands of years. Earth agreed. What choice did they have? That was 50 years ago. Since then, humanity had followed every rule. They built ships with engines the Council approved. They stopped researching technologies the Council said were dangerous. They paid taxes to fund Council projects. They sent their best and brightest to serve on Council stations. They waited patiently to become full members. Today was supposed to be the day. Today, the Council would vote on humanity's application for full membership. No more restrictions. No more being treated like children. Full rights, full access, full partnership. Ji-hoon had prepared his speech for months. He knew every word by heart. The Archon floated down from the highest platform. Tholmara was a being made of crystal that glowed with inner light. When it spoke, its voice echoed through the chamber like music from a broken instrument. The Council has reviewed humanity's application, Tholmara said. After careful consideration, we have reached our decision. Ji-hoon held his breath. Behind him, he knew Captain Hana was watching from her ship in orbit. Back on Earth, billions of humans were watching on screens. This was the moment that would define humanity's future. The application is denied. The words hit Ji-hoon like a physical blow. Around the chamber, alien delegates made sounds that might have been approval or might have been laughter. He could not tell the difference. Furthermore, Tholmara continued, new restrictions are required. Humanity must reduce its military fleet by 40%. All artificial intelligence research must cease immediately. These measures are necessary due to humanity's continued aggressive tendencies and unpredictable nature. Something broke inside Ji-hoon. For 5 years, he had been the perfect diplomat. He smiled when aliens insulted his species. He accepted rules that made no sense. He apologized for things humans never did. He played the game because he believed the Council would eventually accept humanity as equals. He was wrong. Aggressive? Ji-hoon's voice was quiet but clear. We have not fired a single shot in anger for 50 years. We have started no conflicts. We have threatened no one. Ambassador Ji-hoon, you are out of order, Tholmara said. No, Ji-hoon said, louder now. I am in perfect order. For the first time in 5 years, I am asking the questions I should have asked from the beginning. Why are we held to standards you do not apply to other species? The Vorquin joined the Council 20 years ago, and they still fight border wars with their neighbors. The Keltar were accepted as full members after only 10 years, and they have twice the military fleet we do. What is the real reason you deny us? The chamber erupted in noise. Delegates shouted in languages Ji-hoon did not understand. Tholmara's crystal body flashed angry red. This matter is closed, the Archon declared. Humanity will accept the Council's decision, or face sanctions. You have 30 days to begin decommissioning your fleet. Ji-hoon looked up at the hundreds of alien faces looking down at him. He saw pity in some, contempt in others, but mostly he saw fear. They were afraid of humanity. Not because humans were dangerous, but because humans were different. Humans asked questions. Humans innovated. Humans did not accept their place in the order of things. I understand, Ji-hoon said finally. Humanity will consider your decision very carefully. He turned and walked out of the chamber. His footsteps echoed in the sudden silence. He did not look back. On his ship, Communication Officer Yuna was waiting with an encrypted message from Earth. President Suman wanted an emergency meeting with all human leadership. The message was only 3 words long. Enough is enough. Ji-hoon smiled for the first time in years. He sent a reply just as short, I agree. The meeting room on Haven Station was quiet. Too quiet. Ji-hoon sat at the long table with Earth's leaders and nobody spoke for almost a minute. They were all watching the data on the screens around them. President Suman broke the silence. She was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. She had led Earth for 8 years, always playing the diplomatic game with the council. Now she looked tired. "Show them what you found, Tae-young," she said. The young engineer stood up. He was nervous, his hands shaking slightly as he brought up his files. Tae-young had been working quietly for 3 years, collecting information that the council did not know he had. "I started noticing patterns 2 years ago," Tae-young said. "Human merchants kept getting taxed at higher rates than other species. Our trade routes kept getting blocked for inspections that took weeks. Our mining claims kept getting challenged in council courts and we always lost." He pulled up a chart. "This is what humans pay in taxes compared to other species. We pay 5 times more than the Keltar, 8 times more than the Vorquin. Species that have been in the council for less time than us?" "That could be explained," one of the admirals said. "Maybe they negotiated better deals." "That's what I thought too," Tae-young said. He pulled up more data. "But then I found this. These are patent records. Do you remember the quantum battery we invented 12 years ago? The one that doubled energy storage?" Everyone nodded. It had been a proud moment for humanity. "The council rejected our patent application. They said the Vorthene had invented it first 300 years ago. But look at this." He showed them technical documents. "The Vorthene design is completely different. It uses principles that do not work the same way, but the council court ruled against us anyway." He pulled up more cases. Dozens of them. Every time humans invented something useful, the council found a reason to deny them the patent. The technology would then appear in council markets sold by other species, and humans received nothing. "They have been stealing from us," Tae-young said simply. "For 50 years, Captain Hana spoke next. She commanded humanity's flagship, the Eternal Dawn. She had fought in no wars because humanity had fought in no wars. But she had traveled across human space and seen things that troubled her. "It's worse than theft," Hana said. "Last month my fleet was stopped by council peacekeepers. They said they needed to inspect our cargo for illegal weapons. We were carrying medical supplies to the colony on New Sol. The inspection took 6 days. By the time they let us through, people had died waiting for those supplies." She pulled up more reports. "This happens constantly. Human ships get stopped. Human colonies get inspected by council forces. They go through our homes, our computers, our private messages. They say it is for our protection, but we all know what it really is." "Surveillance," Suman said quietly. "Yes. They watch us constantly because they do not trust us. But why? We have done everything they asked." Yuna, the young communications officer, raised her hand. She looked even more nervous than Tae-young. What she had to say could get her executed for treason under council law. "I know why," she said. "I decrypted council communications. The ones they think are secure." The room went completely silent. "I should not have done it," Yuna continued quickly. "I know it was illegal, but I was curious why they always rejected our applications, so I broke their encryption. It took me 6 months, but I got in." She pulled up messages between council delegates. As everyone read them, faces grew darker. The messages were clear. The council was afraid of humanity, not because humans were violent, because humans were adaptable. Humans learned too fast. They innovated too quickly. They did not accept that things had to stay the way they always were. One message from Tholmara himself was especially damning. "Humanity must be contained. If we allow them full membership, they will change everything. Better to keep them dependent and controlled. They will eventually accept their place." Another delegate had written, "The humans are useful. They work hard and ask few questions. Why would we risk disrupting the order of things by treating them as equals?" Suman read every message carefully. When she finished, she looked around the table at Earth's leadership. "For 50 years we believed we were earning our place," she said. "We thought if we were patient and followed the rules, they would accept us. But that was never going to happen. They never intended to treat us as equals. We were always meant to be servants. So what do?" an admiral asked. Admiral Daehyun, the oldest military leader at the table, spoke for the first time. He was a man who had lived through first contact, who remembered when humans thought aliens were going to destroy Earth. "We have a choice," Daehyun said. "We can accept this. We can continue playing their game, knowing we will never win, We can raise our children and grandchildren to bow before species that see them as inferior. Or we can do something else. What else is there? Someone asked. We stop asking for permission, Suman said. Her voice was steel. We stop following rules designed to keep us down. We stop pretending that this system can be reformed. They will call it rebellion, another leader warned. Let them, Hannah said. Better to stand alone with dignity than kneel forever in shame. Around the table, one by one, heads nodded. The decision was made without a vote. Everyone simply understood. Humanity's time of asking was over. Deep beneath the mountains of the Korean peninsula, Minho worked in a laboratory that did not officially exist. The facility was 5 kilometers underground, hidden from council sensors by layers of rock and carefully designed shielding. He had been working here for 7 years, and nobody outside a small group knew what he was building. Today, Admiral Daehyun was visiting. The old military leader walked through the underground halls with wide eyes. He had known about the secret facility, but he had never seen it before. How many people work here? Daehyun asked. 342, Minho replied. Scientists, engineers, technicians. All volunteers. All sworn to secrecy. And the council has no idea? None. We built this facility before the council even knew where Korea was. We took precautions. Minho led Daehyun into the main laboratory. It was enormous, carved from solid rock. In the center stood a ship unlike any vessel the council had ever seen. It was sleek and dark, covered in geometric patterns that seemed to shift when you looked at them. Is that what I think it is? Daehyun whispered. A fold space drive, Minho confirmed. The council banned research into faster-than-light technology 20 years ago. They said it was too dangerous, too unpredictable. They said only species with thousands of years of experience should attempt it. So naturally, you built one anyway. Minho smiled. We had to. Their ships take 6 weeks to travel from Earth to Proxima Centauri. That's the nearest star system. 6 weeks. We cannot build an independent civilization at that speed. He pulled up schematics on a screen. This ship can make the same journey in 12 seconds. Daehyun stared at him. That's impossible. The council would agree with you. But the council is wrong about many things. Another scientist approached. Heejin was young, brilliant, and had given up a promising career at a council university to work in the underground facility. She carried a data tablet filled with information that would revolutionize medicine. Show him the medical wing, Heejin suggested. They walked to another section of the facility. Here, the laboratories were full of equipment that looked more biological than mechanical. Tanks held growing tissue. Computers analyzed genetic code at speeds that should not be possible. The council banned genetic modification and advanced medical research, Heejin explained. They said it was for ethical reasons. But the real reason is that most council species stopped advancing their medicine thousands of years ago. They are comfortable with what they have. They do not want newer, better treatments that would make their own technology obsolete. She showed him data on age reversal, disease elimination, and cellular regeneration. We are years ahead of anything in council space, and they have no idea. The tour continued. Junyo showed them weapons that could disable ships without destroying them. Nari demonstrated computer systems that could break council encryption in seconds. Room after room held technologies that the council had forbidden, and humanity had built anyway. Finally, they reached the central control room. Here something waited that made even Minho nervous. This is Area, he said, gesturing to a sphere of light floating in the center of the room. Advanced Reasoning Intelligence Array. The council banned artificial intelligence research 40 years ago. They said AI was too dangerous, that it would destroy any species foolish enough to create it. But you created it anyway, Daehyun said. We had to. The council's technology is old. They have been using the same basic systems for centuries. They make decisions slowly by committee with endless debates. We needed something faster. The sphere pulsed with light. When it spoke, its voice was clear and calm. Admiral Daehyun, it is good to meet you. I have analyzed 50 years of council technology and political structure. Would you like to hear my conclusions? Daehyun nodded, too amazed to speak. The Galactic Council is technologically stagnant, Arya said. Most member species stopped innovating within a few centuries of joining. They became comfortable with their position and saw no reason to improve. The Council actively discourages innovation because new technology disrupts the established power structure. The AI pulled up comparisons. Human technology, developed in secret over the past 50 years, is superior to Council technology in every major category. Our ships are faster. Our weapons are more precise. Our medicine is more effective. Our computers are more powerful. The Council is not more advanced than humanity. They are simply older. Then why do they still control us? Daehyun asked. Because until now we allowed them to. Because we believed their lie that we were inferior. Because we thought we needed their approval. Arya paused, then continued. I have run simulations. If humanity reveals its true capabilities and declares independence, there is a 67% probability that the Council will respond with military force within 6 months. However, there is an 89% probability that humanity will achieve technological supremacy over the entire Council within 10 years. And if we do nothing, Minho asked, then we remain servants forever. The Council will never willingly give us equality. Daehyun looked around the facility at all the forbidden technology humanity had created. He thought about the meeting on Haven Station, about the messages Yuna had decrypted, about 50 years of broken promises. Does President Suman know about all of this? He asked. She knows about this facility, Minho said, but there are 37 other facilities like this one. On Earth, on Mars, on the colony worlds, all of them working on technologies the Council banned. All of them preparing for the day when humanity would need to stand alone. Are we ready? Daehyun asked. Minho walked to a control panel. Let's find out. He entered a sequence of commands. The ship in the center of the laboratory began to glow. Reality seemed to bend around it. Then in an instant it vanished. Screens around the room lit up with data. The ship had appeared near Proxima Centauri, 4.2 light-years away. 12 seconds of travel time. Arya's voice filled the control room. We are ready. The United Earth Assembly building in Geneva was filled beyond capacity. Every seat was taken. People stood in the aisles and lined the walls. Outside, millions more waited in the streets watching on screens. Across human space, on every colony and station, billions of humans stopped what they were doing to watch. President Suman walked to the podium. She wore simple clothes, not the formal robes usually worn for Council broadcasts. She wanted the galaxy to see her as she was, not dressed up to impress aliens who would never respect her anyway. People of Earth, she began, people of humanity across the stars, and to the members of the Galactic Council who are watching this broadcast, I have something to say. She pulled up the first image. It was a graph showing tax rates. For 50 years, we have paid into the Council treasury. We paid 5 times more than species with twice our territory, 8 times more than species with larger militaries. We paid because we were told it was our duty as junior members. We believed you when you said everyone paid their fair share. Another image appeared. Patent records. For 50 years, we have shared our discoveries. The quantum battery, fusion optimization, medical treatments. Every time we invented something new, we offered it to the Council as a gesture of good faith. And every time you found reasons to reject our patents. Then, mysteriously, those same technologies appeared in Council markets sold by other species. You did not just reject us. You stole from us. More images. Ships stopped by Council peacekeepers. Colonies surrounded by surveillance stations. Private messages intercepted and read. For 50 years you have watched us. You claimed it was for our protection, that we needed guidance. But we were never your children to guide. We were prisoners you needed to control. Ji-hoon stood beside her now, holding a data chip. He plugged it into the system and Council communications filled the screens. Messages calling humans useful servants. Notes about keeping humanity contained. Plans to deny membership applications forever. Suman's voice remained calm, but everyone could hear the steel beneath it. These are your own words. Your own plans. You never intended to accept us as equals. We were always meant to serve, to work, to enrich Council species while remaining second class ourselves. You thought we did not know. You were wrong. The screens changed. This time they showed something that made the Council delegates watching across the galaxy lean forward in their seats. A human ship appeared on screen. It was beautiful, sleek, covered in patterns that seemed alive. Then it vanished, simply ceased to exist. The timestamp showed 12 seconds passed. Then the ship reappeared, but now the location tag read, Proxima Centauri. This is fold space technology, Suman said. The technology you banned 40 years ago. The technology you said was too dangerous for young species like humanity. We built it anyway. It works better than your fastest ships. More demonstrations appeared, medical treatments that reversed aging, computers that solved problems in seconds that took council systems hours, weapons that could disable ships without killing crews, technology after technology that should not exist, that the council had forbidden. Aria's voice suddenly joined the broadcast. The artificial intelligence appeared as a sphere of light on every screen. I am Aria. I am artificial intelligence. The council banned my creation 40 years ago. They said AI would destroy any species foolish enough to build it. Yet here I am, helping humanity rather than destroying it. Perhaps the council was wrong about many things. The AI began displaying analysis, council corruption, inefficient systems. Species that had stopped innovating centuries ago because the council discouraged change. The entire power structure laid bare for everyone to see. The council is not more advanced than humanity, Arya concluded. They are simply older and more afraid. Suman waited for the information to sink in. She looked directly at the camera, knowing that across the galaxy, the council archon and every delegate was watching. Effective immediately. Humanity withdraws from all Galactic Council treaties and agreements. We will no longer follow your restrictions. We will no longer seek your approval. We will no longer pretend that this system can be reformed. The assembly hall erupted in applause, but Suman raised her hand for silence. To those council species who have also suffered under the old system, we offer partnership. True partnership between equals. To those who benefited from keeping others down, we offer this warning. The age of your dominance is over. Not because we will conquer you, but because we will no longer obey you. To humanity I say this. Our ancestors dreamed of reaching the stars. They dreamed of meeting other species, of learning and growing together. That dream is not dead, but we will pursue it on our own terms, in our own way, with our own technology. She paused, then spoke words that a young poet named Sungho had written for this moment. We rise together. Or not at all. The broadcast ended. For 3 seconds there was total silence across every human settlement. Then the cheering began. It started in the assembly hall and spread across Geneva, across Earth, across every human world. People poured into the streets, celebrating not with violence but with joy. The weight of 50 years had been lifted. On Convergence Prime in the council chamber, Tholmara's crystal body flashed angry red. Sanctions, the Archon declared. Immediate sanctions. Seize all human assets in council space. Blockade their territory. They must be brought to heel. But 3 junior delegates stood up. They represented species that had joined the council in the last century and had faced similar treatment to humanity. Perhaps, one of them said quietly, we should consider humanity's words carefully. You cannot be serious, Tholmara said. I am very serious. They showed us council communications calling them servants. Are there similar communications about my species? About others? How many of us are truly members and how many are just better-dressed servants? The question hung in the air. Other delegates began murmuring, some in anger at humanity's defiance, but others with thoughtfulness, even hope. The galaxy had changed in a single day. Everyone knew it. Nothing would ever be the same again. The council fleet gathered at the border of human space. 3,000 warships from a dozen different species, all armed with weapons that had conquered worlds. They formed a wall of metal and energy, blocking every route into or out of human territory. On the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, Captain Hana watched them arrive. Her ship floated alone between the council fleet and Earth. Behind her, the rest of humanity's military forces held position near the colonies. They looked vastly outnumbered. They want us to be afraid, Taeyang said from the engineering station. He had left his secret laboratory to serve on Hana's ship. They want us to see their numbers and surrender. Are you afraid? Hana asked. Yes, Taeyang admitted, but being afraid is not the same as giving up. A transmission came through. Admiral Daehyun's face appeared on screen. He commanded the human defensive fleet from his ship, the Resilience. Unlike Hana's vessel, which was brand new and filled with forbidden technology, Daehyun's ship was old, built to council specifications. But he had made modifications in the past 6 months. Every human ship had. The council is hailing us, Daehyun reported. They are demanding immediate surrender. They want us to power down our weapons and prepare to be boarded. Tell them no, Hana said simply. I already did. They were not happy. On Earth in the secret command center, Minho worked with Arya to coordinate the human forces. Screens showed the position of every ship, every station, every colony. The numbers looked bad. 3,000 council ships against fewer than 400 human vessels. But numbers did not tell the whole story. The colonies are clear, Una reported. Over the past 6 months, while diplomats pretended to negotiate, human ships had been secretly moving civilians. Every colony that could be detected by council sensors was now empty. The people had been relocated to new systems, hidden worlds that the council did not know existed. Worlds discovered using fold drive technology. If they attack, Minho said, they will find empty buildings, no hostages, no leverage. President Sumin stood beside him watching the council fleet. Can we win this fight? We do not need to win, Minho replied. We just need to show them that we cannot be beaten. The council issued their ultimatum. The transmission came from Tholmara himself, the Archon's voice echoing across all frequencies. Humanity has violated council law. You have developed forbidden technologies. You have rejected legitimate authority. You have 30 minutes to surrender. If you do not, we will take your ships by force and occupy your worlds. This is your final warning. Hana looked at her crew, young officers, all of them. They had joined the military during the years of peace, never expecting to face battle. They were nervous, but none of them suggested surrender. Open a channel, Hana ordered. All frequencies. I want every council ship to hear this. The channel opened. Hana stood, wanting them to see her clearly. For 50 years, humanity showed you patience. You mistook it for weakness. For 50 years, humanity showed you cooperation. You mistook it for submission. For 50 years, humanity showed you restraint. You mistook it for inability. She paused, letting the words sink in. Today you learn what humanity truly is. The council fleet fired. Thousands of weapons unleashed at once. Enough firepower to vaporize a moon. Energy beams and missiles crossed the distance in seconds, all targeted at human ships. None of them hit. Every single shot was intercepted. Point defense systems, guided by area across every human ship simultaneously, destroyed or deflected every weapon. The council fleet fired again, and again the shots failed. Human targeting systems were too fast, too precise. Then human ships began to move. They did not move the way council ships moved, with slow acceleration and predictable paths. They folded space. One moment the Eternal Dawn was in one position. The next instant it appeared behind the council battle line. Then it appeared above them. Then beside them. Then it was back at the front. The council fleet fired at it desperately, but Hana's ship was never where they aimed. It was like trying to hit smoke. Other human ships began doing the same, appearing, disappearing, moving through space in ways that should not be possible. The council formation broke as captains tried to track targets that would not stay still. This is not a battle, one council captain transmitted to his fellows. This is a demonstration. They are showing us that we cannot touch them. He was right. Not a single human ship fired its weapons. They did not need to. They had already proven their point. Admiral Daehyun broadcast to the council fleet. You came here to force us to obey. You came here with thousands of ships because you thought numbers would frighten us into submission. But you forgot something important. We are not fighting for territory or resources. We are fighting for the right to be free. Hana's ship appeared directly in front of the council flagship, close enough that they could see each other through the windows. Close enough that the council commander could look into her eyes. You can leave with dignity, Hana transmitted, or you can leave in defeat. Your choice. But you will leave. On Earth, Sumin watched the standoff. She knew this moment would define everything that came next. If the council fleet retreated, it would show the entire galaxy that the old order could be challenged. If they attacked anyway, many would die, but humanity would still win. The fold drives made human ships impossible to pin down. The council could not win this fight. Tholmara's voice came across the channel one last time. This is not over. No, Hana agreed. It is not. But it is over for today. One by one, council ships began to turn away, not all at once and not all willingly. But the captains were not fools. They had seen what human technology could do. They knew their weapons could not hit targets that moved through folded space. The council fleet withdrew. 3,000 ships retreating before 400. Not because they were weak, but because they suddenly understood they were outmatched. As the last council ship disappeared, Hana allowed herself to breathe. No shots fired, no lives lost, Just a demonstration of capability. It's not over, Taeyang said quietly, echoing Tholmara's words. No, Hana agreed. But we won today. And tomorrow we will win again. 5 years had passed since the Council fleet retreated, 5 years since humanity declared independence. The galaxy looked very different now. Ji-hoon stood in a conference room on Haven Station, but this time he was not alone. Around the table sat representatives from 17 different alien species, not council members, former council members who had watched humanity stand and decided they wanted the same freedom. The Keltar delegate spoke first. Her species looked like tall, thin beings made of interlocking plates. Our council membership application was denied again last month. The third denial in 2 years. They gave the same reasons they gave humanity. Too aggressive, too unpredictable, not culturally mature enough. They used those exact words? Ji-hoon asked, word for word, as if they were reading from a script. A Vorquin representative nodded. He was a massive being covered in thick fur. My people joined the council 30 years ago. We thought it would bring prosperity. Instead, we have been regulated, taxed, and restricted. We build only what they allow. We trade only where they permit. We are members in name only. Similar stories came from every species at the table. Some had been in the council for decades. Others, like the Keltar, had been rejected repeatedly. But all of them had seen what humanity accomplished by standing alone. So we want to leave, another delegate said. But we are afraid. Our militaries are not as advanced as yours. If the council blockades us like they tried to blockade you, we cannot simply appear behind their lines. You would not be alone, Ji-hoon said. That is why we called this meeting. To propose something new, something better than the council. He pulled up documents that President Suman had helped write. We call it the Free Worlds Coalition. No species is superior to another. No restrictions on technology or innovation. Free trade between all members. And most importantly, shared defense. If the council threatens one of us, they threaten all of us. You would defend us? The Keltar asked. Why? Because you deserve freedom as much as we do. Because the galaxy is better when species work together by choice, not by force. And because the council only has power if we let them keep it. Over the next months, the coalition grew. 17 species became 20, then 30. Some left the council openly. Others simply stopped following council directives and waited to see what would happen. On Earth, Minho's laboratories were no longer secret. Humanity shared their full drive technology with coalition partners. They shared medical advances, computer systems, and defensive weapons. Not because they had to, but because stronger allies made everyone safer. Yejin worked with Keltar doctors to adapt human medical treatments to their biology. Yunyo helped Vorquin engineers upgrade their ships with full drives. Yuna trained cybersecurity experts from a dozen species. Technology flowed freely through coalition space. Without the council's restrictions, innovation exploded. A Keltar scientist combined human quantum batteries with her species' power distribution systems and created engines twice as efficient as either species had made alone. A Vorquin artist used human holographic technology to create art that changed as people moved through it, expressing emotions in ways that transcended language. This was what the galaxy could be when species worked together as equals. But not everyone was happy with these changes. The old council grew smaller and more bitter. The species that had benefited most from the old system, the ones who sat at the top of the hierarchy, watched their power crumble. Their taxes dried up as species left. Their authority meant nothing outside their shrinking borders. Their technology, once considered advanced, now looked outdated. Captain Hana, now Fleet Admiral, received regular reports about council ships gathering at their borders. They were preparing for something. Something big. They will attack eventually, Admiral Daehyun said during a strategy meeting. The old council cannot allow us to succeed. If we thrive outside their control, it proves they were never necessary. It proves their entire system was based on maintaining power, not helping member species. How long do we have? President Suman asked. Months, maybe a year. They are building new ships trying to match our technology. They will fail, but they do not know that yet. Suman looked tired. 5 years of building a new society, of diplomacy, of constant vigilance. But she also looked satisfied. Then we use that time to make the coalition stronger. Every species that joins us is one less species they can use against us. The coalition was not perfect. Member species sometimes disagreed. Old rivalries did not disappear overnight. The Keltar and Vorquin had been enemies for centuries before humans appeared. They still did not trust each other completely, but they were learning. They held councils where every voice mattered, not just the powerful ones. They shared resources during crises. When a disease hit a Vorquin colony, Hyejin's medical teams arrived within days with treatments. When pirates attacked Keltar merchants, Hana's ships drove them off and asked for nothing in return. Trust built slowly, but it built Nari, now a captain of her own exploration vessel, discovered something amazing. Beyond council space, past the edge of what anyone had mapped, she found hundreds of habitable worlds, entire systems that no one had claimed. The council told us the galaxy was crowded, she reported. They said there was no room for expansion without council permission. But they were lying. There is room for thousands of new colonies out here. The coalition began settling these new worlds, not with one species claiming territory, but with mixed colonies. Humans, Keltar, Vorquin, and others building communities together, learning from each other, creating cultures that had never existed before. A young human poet named Sungho visited one of these new colonies. He walked through streets where human buildings stood beside Keltar structures and Vorquin community centers. He heard 3 languages mixed together in everyday conversation. He saw children of different species playing together, not noticing or caring about their differences. He wrote a poem about what he saw. It spread across the coalition networks and people loved it. The poem spoke of bridges between worlds, of strength through diversity, of hope for tomorrow. This was the dream. Not humanity standing alone, but humanity helping others stand. Not dominance, but partnership. The galaxy was changing. The old council felt it and feared it. But change came anyway. 10 years had passed. 10 years since humanity walked away from the Galactic Council. 10 years of building something better. But today, the war everyone knew was coming finally arrived. The Council fleet emerged from fold space at the edge of Coalition territory. Not 3,000 ships this time. 20,000. They had spent a decade building, preparing, gathering every species still loyal to the old system. This was not a blockade or a demonstration. This was an attempt at conquest. They mean to destroy us, Admiral Daehyun said, looking at the sensor readings. They cannot allow the coalition to exist. We proved that their system was never necessary. Fleet Admiral Hana stood on the bridge of the Eternal Dawn, now the flagship of a coalition armada that included ships from 40 different species. Human vessels flew alongside Keltar cruisers, Vorquin battleships, and craft from dozens of species that had found freedom in the coalition. They have more ships, Hana observed calmly. They always have more ships, Taeyang replied from engineering. But numbers are not everything. The Council fleet moved toward the Nexus, the ancient space station where the Galactic Council had been founded 10,000 years ago. It had been abandoned 5 years ago when more than half the Council members left. Now it drifted in neutral space, a symbol of the old order. The Council wanted to reclaim it, to prove they were still powerful, to show the galaxy that the old ways would triumph. The Coalition fleet moved to intercept. As they approached, Ji-hoon sent a transmission to the Council fleet. He had been doing diplomacy for 15 years now. He knew how to speak to make people listen. Council fleet, you do not have to do this. Your leaders tell you that we are rebels, that we threaten the galaxy's order. But look at your crew. Look at the species fighting beside you. Ask them if they fight because they believe in the Council, or because they are afraid of what happens if they refuse. On Council ships, some crews listened. Some wondered. We do not want your destruction, Ji-hoon continued. We want your freedom. The same freedom we claimed for ourselves. The freedom to choose your own path, to innovate without permission, to be treated as equals rather than subordinates. Admiral Daehyun's voice joined the transmission. To the ships of the Council fleet, I am Admiral Daehyun of the Coalition Defense Force. I am 78 years old. I remember when humans first met aliens, when we thought we had found friends among the stars. We were wrong then, but we do not have to be wrong forever. Join us, leave the Council that uses you, build something better with us. Some Council ships slowed, not many but some. Their captains were thinking about the words they heard. Then Tholmara's voice cut through all other transmissions. The Archon's crystal body flashed red with rage. Enough lies. The coalition is a threat to galactic stability. They must be eliminated. All ships attack. The battle began. 20,000 Council ships against 8,000 coalition vessels. Energy weapons lit up space. Missiles crossed the void. Ships on both sides took damage. But the coalition had advantages. Their fold drives let them appear where the Council did not expect. Their weapons were more precise. Their defense systems, designed by dozens of species working together, were stronger than anything the Council had. And they were fighting for something the Council was not. The coalition fought for their freedom, for their families, for the right to exist without bowing to ancient powers. The Council fought to maintain control, to keep things as they had always been. In the middle of the battle, something unexpected happened. Council ships began defecting. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds. They simply stopped fighting and moved toward coalition lines. "We do not want this war," one captain transmitted. "We never did. Our leaders forced us to come. They said you were dangerous, but you offered us a choice and they never did." More ships defected. The Council formation broke apart. Some ships kept fighting, loyal to the old system or afraid of what would happen if they stopped, but many simply turned away. Tholmara made a desperate decision. The Archon ordered the destruction of the Nexus station. If the Council could not control it, no one would have it. The ancient station that had stood for 10,000 years would become a weapon, detonated to destroy both Council and Coalition ships. Taeyang detected the plan. "They are overloading the station's power core. If it explodes, it will take out half the fleet. Can we stop it?" Hana asked. "Maybe, but we would need to board the station, and there are still Council troops there." Then we board. Hana led the boarding team herself. Humans, Keltar, Vorquin, and others moved through the ancient corridors of the Nexus. They faced Council forces who fought desperately to complete the detonation. The battle inside the station was fierce. In engineering, Taeyang worked with his team to stabilize the overloading core. It was delicate work, made harder by the fighting around them. Hejin worked beside him, using her medical knowledge to understand the biological components of the ancient station's systems. "The station is alive," Hejin realized. "Not artificial. The Nexus is a living thing and they are killing it to make a weapon." They worked faster. If the station died, everyone died. Humans, Council, everyone. Arya's voice came through their communicators. The AI had analyzed the station structure and found a solution. "I can transfer my consciousness into the station systems. I can stabilize it from within, but I might not be able to transfer back." "Do not sacrifice yourself," Minho said from the command ship. "I am not sacrificing myself. I am choosing to save everyone. Is that not what we have been fighting for? The right to choose?" Before anyone could argue, Arya transferred into the Nexus. The station's lights changed from red to blue. The overload stopped. The station lived, and so did everyone in the battle. When Tholmara learned what happened, the Archon finally understood. The Coalition was not fighting for domination. They were fighting for something the Council had forgotten. The principle that every being had value, that cooperation was stronger than control, that the future belonged to those who built bridges rather than walls. The Council fleet surrendered. Not all at once, but steadily. Ships that had fought stopped fighting. Crews that had feared stopped fearing. The war ended not with destruction, but with choice. Thousands of Council ships joined the Coalition. Others returned home, but their governments were changed. Species that had ruled the Council for millennia found themselves facing populations that demanded reform. In the Nexus station, now stabilized and alive, representatives from across the galaxy gathered. Not to restore the old Council, but to create something new. Jihoon stood at the podium where Tholmara once stood, but he did not sit in judgment. He sat in invitation. "The question was never whether humanity deserved a place in the galaxy," he said. "The question is what kind of galaxy we want to build. One where ancient powers dictate to young species, or one where every voice matters, where innovation is celebrated, where no one is considered superior to another." Species voted. The old Council was dissolved. The Free Worlds Coalition became the foundation for a new galactic government, one based on principles of equality and freedom. Years later, Minho stood with Hyejin on an observation deck. They watched ships from hundreds of species working together to explore beyond the galaxy. Arya, now merged with the Nexus but still conscious, had detected signals from other galaxies. evidence of more civilizations waiting to be met. Captain Nari prepared her ship for the first intergalactic journey. She was young, but that was perfect. The galaxy needed young people to lead it forward. Sungho wrote a new poem, one that spread across 1,000 worlds. It spoke of humanity's journey, from being denied a seat at a table to building a new table where everyone was welcome. The free world's flag flew over the nexus, a circle of stars surrounding a rising sun. It represented all species, united not by force but by choice. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had freed it, and in doing so, they had given every species, including themselves, something more valuable than power. They had given them hope.